Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to discuss Spring Security's high-level architectures within Servlet-based applications. To be more specific, we're going to take a look at Servlet Container, especially Servlet Filter, as this is the thing that Spring Security's Servlet support is based on. Before we move on, I'd like to notice that in this video, Filter and Servlet Filter are the same thing. Sometimes I'll call it Filter, sometimes Servlet Filter, to emphasize that this filter is from Servlet API, but technically they're the same. But for the later videos, we need to distinguish between Servlet Filter and Spring Filter. One more important thing in this video is we're not going to use Spring Security yet. What we end up doing is not practical as well, only for explaining, demystifying, and confirming. Okay, first, let's briefly talk about Servlet, how it was being used in the past and now with Spring Boot. So in the past, as you can see in the diagram, when Spring hasn't been built yet, we had to work directly with Servlet Container and Servlet APIs. At that time, to serve a request, we usually define a set of filters, Servlet, and map them to a specific URL pattern. So for example, filter 1 is mapped to /start. It means this filter will intercept all requests.com. Filter 2 will intercept /hello, and filter 3 /hi. And after that, when a request comes through these filters, will be ended up at its targeted servlet. So this is how we define a filter. So we need a name. A class is a custom class from us that implement the filter from Servlet API. We also have the filter mapping where we define a filter name with the URL pattern. Same for Servlet. We have Servlet name and Servlet class. Also have to define a URL pattern for Servlet. So basically, Servlet is where business logic happens, and filters is our cross-cutting concerned logic happens. That's why most of authentication authorization are implemented in filters, and Spring Security's for Servlet support is based on Servlet filter as well. Another thing that we can see here is we can dynamically set up our filters and servlets wherever we want, right? So for example, for this application, the person A can create 10 filters and 3 servlets like this, but the person B can create only 2 filters and, for example, 2 servlets /hello and /hi only. So he is going to use the if-else statement, for instance, to process /me and /you in the /hi servlet. So there's no standard way to create an application. Keep it in mind. Let's go ahead and see how Servlet is used in Spring Boot. So Spring Boot also takes advantage of Servlet Container and build on top of it. So as you can see here, Servlet Containers, Spring Boot redefine filters and servlets for us. With simple web dependencies, these are what we're going to have: 3 filters in the application filter chain and 1 servlet named dispatcher servlet. Instead of letting us define randomly number of filters and servlet. Because dispatcher servlet is out of scope of this series, let's briefly talk about it now, then move to filters. So Spring creates a standard. Instead of letting us defining our servlets, Spring creates only one that works together with handler mappings, specifically request mapping handler mapping, to map the upcoming request to a method, then use that method to process this request. For example, get /hello is coming. It will go through this filter to dispatcher servlet, and dispatcher servlet will asking for a method in handler mappings. So in request mapping handler mapping, we are having a mapping table here. Then the get /hello will return the hello method from hello controller, and the request will be sent to the hello controller's hello method. Okay, that's it for dispatcher servlet. Let's back to our filters and create a simple project to confirm that. Okay, let's start with start.print.io. We'll Gradle 3.2.3 and vn.cloud. Our name, the artifact is Servlet Security Demo, for example, Java 21. Web dependency, lump up. So basically, you only need the web dependency, right? We're going to generate that. Okay, then we need to unzip and open it in our favorite IDE. Okay, I opened it in IntelliJ. So let's take a look at build Gradle. So we're going to have only web starter here. Let's add logging.level.web to trace and create a simple controller. So here I'm going to create a hello controller. So it's just a basic rect controller, and in that we're going to define a hello method that get mapping /hello. Then let's run our application. So you can see that we have mapping filters. So in here we have three filters: the character encoding filters, the form content filters, and request context filters. So this is the orders and the URL pattern of its filtered. So you take a look at here. So we have the characters encoding filtered. So the orders, the lowest, the prioritized. So the character encoding filters will be the most prioritized filters. And the next one is the form content filtered. The orders is minus 9900. Okay, form content filtered. And request context filtered. So we have one servlet. It's departure servlet. And this is the URL patterns /only. So only one dispatcher servlet. Okay, let's put a breakpoint at the application filter chain. Application. So this is our application filter chain, right? Application filter chains. So in the application filter chain, we have a list of Servlet filters. And when a request comes, it's going to go the do filter method here. Okay, let's put a breakpoint here. Then let's try to send a hello request, the get hello /hello to our server. Hello. Then we are at the application filter change here. And let's go to, so basically if we move internal do filtered, and here we will see that this is our filtered Servlet filters. So we have 4 Servlet filter here. The first one is characters encoding filters. The second one is form content filters, request context filters, and the last one is the Tomcat WebSocket filters. This one we didn't see it here, right? Do you know why? I have no idea as well. So if you know, please let me know. So basically, our request will go through these filters by filter called do filters, and we pass the filter chain itself to here. So you can easily imagine that, right? Let's disable. Okay. So we're writing hello world. That's good. One thing I forgot to mention here is we also see that the request mapping handler mapping is bring to our console if we set our logging level web is trace. So we see, for example, our get /hello will be mapped to hello controller hello method, and we also have some default one for arrowhead alert. So we have the basic arrowhead alert redefined by Spring Boot for it, for example. So these arrows and radius. Okay, so here this is our mapping table, so I got it from here. Okay, let's do some code to enhance our memory. Let's create our custom Servlet filter. Okay, let's try to create a new custom filter. So here I'm going to create a filter named my API key filter, and I will implement the Servlet filters. So filtered from Jakarta Servlet, and we need to implement the do filtered. So this is the method that going to reset our request. Let's try to create our API key, for example. So I'll use SR4G. So basically this is our API key. We are going to encoding by 64 the password string, and we'll bring our API key to the console, then we can use later. So in do filters, I will get the header X API key to get the API key from header of the request, then compare it with the API key generated from the beginning. Then so if they are not equal, then I will return 401 unauthorized. And if they are matched, then we go down by calling filter chain.do filters. And in order to add it into the Servlet container in Spring Boot, we can add it to the application context. Here we can add it to application context, and then it will be automatically be registered to the Servlet container for us by Spring. Okay, and to add it into the application context is easy, right? Just add a component here, and that's it. Okay, let's try to rerun application. Okay, now let's take a look at the log. Now we have my API key filters. So without specify any URL pattern, so it is the default one /start. So means for all requests, and the orders is the lowest at the moment, right? So here's what we are going to do. Here's we're going to define our my API key filters, and yeah, we also want to put it the least prioritized API, so it should lower than the request context filters. So if we would like to put the order, so the order must be larger than minus 105, right? So we're going to choose minus 104. So this is okay because it's also larger than minus 105. But let's create the ordered here. Ordered minus. Okay, so this is what we expected. Let's restart. And here's okay. So it's ordered minus 104. So it's still in this one. Okay. Then let's try to send our request. So you're going to see 401 authorized, unauthorized, right? Because so it's now working. Our filter is now working. Let's put. Okay. Here we're going to see. First, we go into the application filter chain. Then let's take a look at the filter here. So you see these filters is arranged in order, and this is our filtered. After character encoding, form contains request context, and my API key filter here. Okay, then let's move to yeah, we still loop over the filters. Let's disable this one. Okay, now it's going to here and then we can see. So because there's no header about the X API key, so that's why we are returned 401. Okay, so 401. Let's define our API key. API key is API key, and we're going to use the one Spring here. My API keys. Okay, here API key. Copy this one. Okay, actually they are the same. Okay, and back to our header. So we see this is add to the header first by adding the API key here. So basically now we send a request with the header is API keys and this one with this value. Okay, let's send it, and we see that. Okay, now the API key we put in the request it match with the API key in the filters, and that's why we allowed this request to end up at the dispatcher servlet. Okay, then we're going to see the hello world returned from our servlets, our controller. So if we want to get more control on the filters, for example, there's no way first here to register a URL pattern, right? So if we want to do that, there's another way to do that is we declare a filter registration bin. Filter registration bin. Here I'll name it my API key as well. So with the name my API key filters, and I'm going to create my API filter keys here. New my API filter key. Right. So this is we don't have to use the components and order here. Okay, and we are going to initialize my API filter here, and we create a new filter register bin with my filters. Then with this one we can set the URL pattern, set orders, and set the departure type. So for example, I'm going to set dispatcher type. Then for example we have request. So this filters is only process the request. This filter only process some forward request, for example. So you can define any dispatcher type that you want this filter is going to process. For example, I'll put it here, and we can set the URL pattern. For example, I would like these filters only take care of /APIs, right? And the ordered, set ordered -04104 and returned this filter bin. Okay, bin. That's it. So by that we can also register our custom filter to Servlet Container. Let's rerun this again. So you see here now our API key filters is now have the URL pattern is /API/start, and this is the orders. So it's still the list route type filtered. Okay, let's try to send again, but this time without no authentication. So basically, yeah, we can return hello world because now this filter is not work. This filter only work for like API/hello. Then if we send it, yeah, we will see, and let's move, and it's returned 401 unauthorized. Okay, that's it for today's video. I'd like to remind you again, it's not practical. If you would like to know more about Servlet, I will put this link for you in the description below. So this is the architectures of Servlet Spring Security, and this is for Spring Framework and the Spring Boot. In the next video, we're going to add Spring Security dependencies, and we're going to explore what is going to happen with our application filter chains. Okay, thank you so much for taking your time watching this video and this series. Hope you can learn something new here, and see you in the next video. Happy coding!